Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I really want to focus on the post-credit scene. I want to talk about some of the ideas of what it could be. I really feel like we are right, I think, with the one that we really want it to be. But there is a possibility that maybe there's two of them, or maybe it isn't going to be that, and maybe it would be, other things. And so yeah, I want to get into that. So before we go any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. The show is returning and then ending in 5 days from now. And so I got a lot of content coming out throughout the week, and then obviously next week as well, there'll be a lot of stuff to break down. And then we just sort of wait, there's going to be a lot of stuff that drops in terms of like trailers and things like that, obviously. But I think besides a lot of that, we're going to be really waiting for early January or whenever it starts for the Rick and Michonne television show to begin filming, right? That's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people posting set photos and stuff like that. And like, I'm not going to be talking about anything regarding really any of that unless it's like officially released or something like that, just because like, yeah, I don't want to get into spoilers and all that, but like, January is going to be a really exciting time. And really, I mean, for as long as the show films, it's going to be January, February, March, probably a little bit into April as well. It's just going to be exciting to see, what's actually done. And then we have Dead City. I mean, we're going to have Fear the Walking Dead season 8 before that, which we know will be our first full season with Madison back, and we'll have a lot of stuff with Madison and Morgan. And like I said, April we'll have Dead City. At some point around here, we're probably going to get a teaser trailer or something for the Daryl show. Comic-Con is that summer. We're going to get the Rick and Michonne television show trailer most likely at Comic-Con, right? With an official release date, which will probably be that fall, right? In October. And then, yeah, I mean, basically right after we have the Daryl show, and then we see Rick and Michonne come back, right? So it's going to be a pretty crazy next, like, I guess, literally 12 months. There's something happening every single month. So that's kind of exciting. But yeah, I want to talk about this post-credit scene here. I want to talk about the idea of this, because obviously a lot of people right now are wondering, is Rick Grimes going to be here in the finale? Now, in terms of the story, I don't see him coming back for the story. And I think most people agree with me now on this. I saw a lot of people disagreeing with me beforehand, saying that, well, he could come back in 23 or 24. You don't know where the story is going to be. I just kind of always figured, like, it just made no sense with the Rick and Michonne TV show coming out next year. Like, you want to save his actual appearance for that, right? You want to build up some hype, right? Like, people want to see Rick Grimes again. They want to see Rick. If you don't show us too much of Rick, then you build up that anticipation, you build up that hype, because there's a reason to watch next year. And I think that's like, honestly, I think that's why those 3 spinoff shows got the 6 episodes and there weren't like 8 or 10 episodes. I don't think any show is going to get 16 anymore. I do think 16 is too much. I think just nowadays people are going to go with 8 or 10 at the most. But I think that's the reason why they're all going with 6 episodes, is because I don't know if they're fully confident in people watching and stuff next year. But people will watch. And I do think holding off on the Rick stuff as much as you can is the smart thing. But you do need to give us something here, because you need people to be very satisfied here, right? So you need to come up with a really good balance here. And so I was thinking about it here. Like, I was thinking about, like, and we'll talk about some other ideas that it could be, if there's maybe there's no Rick post-credit scene or whatever. But I was thinking about, like, I think that's why there kind of needs to be a Rick Grimes post-credit scene, right? There needs to be something. Now, if we saw Michonne, I would be happy as well. Like, I would be totally fine if we got like a Michonne post-credit scene. I just don't know what it would be technically and how much it could really add to, book ending The Walking Dead. That's why I kind of think you need Rick there, because Rick was like the first character in the very first episode, right? He woke up in that hospital. And so I was thinking about it. Like, is there a chance that they could have done something like this? And I remember after Comic-Con, it was like a week later or something like that. I remember the @Andy Lincoln news account was saying something about Andrew Lincoln being in Georgia or something for a week or so. And I think that was in early August, mid-August or something like that. I don't really remember all the details. And I also remember talking about that at the time too, that I'm pretty sure Pollyanna McIntosh, like who plays Jadis, also had to cancel some sort of an appearance then or something at some sort of event or whatever. And again, literally, like, this could be totally unrelated. It literally could have just been a coincidence. But yeah, it does make me think sometimes. Like, I really wonder if there's something there, right? Like, what if there is a scene with Rick and Jadis? What if that's the post-credit scene? I just personally, I wonder that sometimes. I think that could be what the post-credit scene is potentially, right? Like, you film that in August. I'm pretty sure Scott Gimple and Angela Kang's interviews, or I don't know if it was Angela Kang or if she was a part of that, or if it was just Gimple or vice versa. But I know one of them basically said that they were working on a couple of ideas or whatever. And so they say that in September after maybe just say they filmed something in mid-August, right? Early to mid-August. I could totally see that being the case here where, you're editing stuff, you're working on some stuff for like all of September. And obviously they're not going to be fully truthful on stuff that they do have planned, because the thing about post-credit scenes is that you don't really come out and confirm if there's going to be any. Like post-credit scenes are more to shock people and, create some excitement. I wouldn't actually be surprised if there was 2 post-credit scenes here. Like, there could be one with Rick, and the one beforehand could have something to do with Dead City, since that is the next spinoff, right? Or maybe it's a Michonne post-credit scene, right? Like, that'd be super cool. Imagine that. Like, imagine actually getting a Michonne post-credit scene. Like, no one's expecting to see Michonne again. That would be so awesome, because I miss Michonne, man. Like, I really do miss that character. And then to get Rick afterwards, like, imagine, like, the credits roll, and then we get this post-credit scene or whatever, and we see Michonne, and then it's like, oh, people are excited, and then it ends, and people are kind of like, okay, well, I guess that was cool. We saw Michonne, but like, I kind of wanted to see Rick. And then all of a sudden, Rick appears at the end. That'd be so cool to get both those characters. That'd be crazy. And so I was thinking, like, with this current story right now, like when the Commonwealth arc ends, I think it is very, very important. It's super important to reintroduce Rick again, because he's going to be the lead of the Walking Dead universe, right? The show started with him and it needs to end with him. I'm pretty sure Nicotero said something like that earlier this year. I don't remember where, but he said something like, Rick Grimes is the Walking Dead. I really do agree with that. Like, I think our characters need to find out that he's alive. I think there needs to be that element there in this final episode. I think for sure that they need to find out he's alive. Like, I would be so disappointed if they never knew. If the episode ends and they still think he's dead, I'd be so disappointed with that. Like, that's not the way to end this. Like, you want to end everything full circle, or not even full circle, but you just want to pay off certain storylines here. And I think that it's super important there that I think showing us Rick Grimes as well in the post-credit scene would be perfect. I think it would be the best way here. And that's what I was saying. So what I would like, and again, people could argue that this isn't enough, but I still do think that they want to hold off on some of the Rick Grimes stuff where you see him talking or speaking or doing stuff in general. I think they want to hold off on that until you actually watch the show in about a year from now, or like 10, 11 months, probably like 11 months from now, right? And so what I would like, and I think would work, would basically just be like, say Jadis is watching over someone, right? Like the scene starts off and we see Jadis, maybe the camera pans to, or maybe the camera is literally with a Civic Republic soldier walking into a room, and then we see, Jadis standing and watching someone in a room. And then it cuts to Jadis's face, and basically, she kind of talks with the CRM soldier. The CRM soldier is just like, well, here you go. You get this stuff here, blah, blah, blah. And she kind of nods. Basically, that tells us that she's, she traded Rick here to the CRM, and now she's getting all of her stuff or whatever. And then it just cuts to Rick, and we see him, in the hospital bed. Maybe he opens his eyes at the end or something like that. But I think that's a way that you can do it where it's like, that's definitely, like, I would argue bare minimum of what you can do. Like, that's something that, like, people would be very excited about, because you get to see Rick. People want a little bit more, but, they can watch that next year with the Rick and Michonne TV show. So personally, for me, I think that works the best. I think that that's something that you can easily do, unless you want to go all out and do something else. And that's where, the ideas definitely get pretty tricky, because there's a lot of stuff that you just can't really do, right away, because like that's a lot of stuff that they're going to show us in the very first season, right? Like there's a lot of stuff they can't really give us because it's something that's going to happen in the very first episode, right? Like him reacting to being here, this and that. But I think, unless you wanted to do something, say like, like it takes place 6 or 7 years after he was taken there, right? So maybe it's Rick in our current timeline, and he's, I don't know, maybe he's in a cell or whatever's happening with him. I think it really depends on what they want to do. Honestly, I think people would just overall be happy with seeing Andrew Lincoln back. And I think it's super important to have Rick Grimes here. And, in terms of any other post-credits that they could do, I could see them doing a Dead City one for sure. Like, definitely for sure, I could see them doing a Dead City one. Now, the issue I have with that, though, is with Dead City, it's kind of like, well, like I'm almost expecting a full-blown trailer to drop, honestly, when The Walking Dead wraps up here. Like, I'm just kind of expecting that. Maybe they'll do a Fear the Walking Dead trailer instead, but like, Dead City is premiering next April. I could totally see them releasing some sort of trailer or teaser, as to like what to expect with that coming out in 5 months from now, or 5, 6 months or whatever or 5 months. Yeah. And like I just think that Dead City, I could see that being a high possibility, but I don't know. Honestly, the Rick Grimes idea just really feels right now. It just really feels like it's something that they could easily do. They could easily give us this post-credit scene with him, and I think people would be very, very happy. A Dead City one, I just don't know if people would be that excited about it. And I mean, the thing is, people will be excited about it. As long as you do have Rick, and say you have 2 post-credit scenes, people are going to be excited about the Dead City one. But I'm just kind of telling you, like, if this whole episode airs and ends, our characters don't find out he's alive, and there's no Rick post-credit scene at all, there's nothing here with Rick, people are going to be very upset, because literally, this is the end of The Walking Dead. You know, the spinoffs and stuff are cool, but like, people want that respect for the show, right? And I think that's why that's why it's super important to give us that. It really is. Like, you want to close out these stories. You don't want to keep those things hanging there where it's like, now we got to wait and watch all of this stuff, right? Because people are still going to watch that anyways, because people want to see Rick and what's happening, and they want to see our characters find him. But people have just been wanting Daryl and the rest to find out that he's alive for a very, very long time now, because like Michonne has known, Judith technically knows, RJ I guess kind of knows. I think he knows, right? Like, he was there, and just, yeah, like it's frustrating. So I'm really hoping for these reveals here. I do believe it's going to happen, and if it doesn't, I'm just going to be very disappointed, and that will be, that'll be indicated in my review about how disappointed I am. So yeah, I'm really hoping here for a Rick Grimes post-credit scene. I'm definitely at this point here really believing it's going to happen. I actually think it's more likely than any other sort of post-credit scene. I do think there's going to be a Rick one. I think there's a chance there could even be 2 post-credit scenes, to be honest. Like, they might want to go all out here with the end of The Walking Dead, because that's the thing that I'm going to say too. Like, if you end this perfectly, if you end The Walking Dead so perfectly here, where people are satisfied with the ending, you get this really awesome post-credit scene with Rick, even 2 of them, people are going to remember that, and people are going to remember that for future shows, because they know that you know how to end a story properly, and you know how to give us, just that conclusion, that proper conclusion to all of this. And I would say, with the spinoffs in general right now, I think that's why people kind of feel a little like, I don't know about it. I do think the spinoffs with Daryl, Maggie and Negan, and Rick and Michonne, I think they're going to be totally fine, because you have them there, right? Like, the characters are going to be there. But it's just one of those things that when you say a Walking Dead spinoff, people are kind of like, about it now, right? Because Fear the Walking Dead, while it has been good some seasons, a lot of seasons it's been really horrible. Tales of the Walking Dead was definitely a big disappointment. It hasn't even been renewed for season 2 yet. The Walking Dead World Beyond overall was a big disappointment. Like, there's just a thing now with these Walking Dead spinoffs, right? Where people feel like this about them. And so I say that with the spinoffs next year, you can totally change that. You can really change it so that every spinoff you're doing is worthy of doing. And that's why I think you really need to make this ending worth it. And this way, going forward, people are going to know that, wow, they really know how to do it. I'm very excited to see what they have planned next, right? So yeah, anyways, definitely post your thoughts down below. Post your thoughts down below on like what you think the post-credit scene is going to be. Do you think it's going to be a Rick Grimes post-credit scene? Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.